In less than 100 days, Finnish sniper Simo Häyhä killed at least 500 enemy troops during the Winter War, earning him the nickname the White Death. At the dawn of World War II in 1939, Joseph Stalin sent over 500,000 men across Russia's western border to invade Finland. It was a move that would cost tens of thousands of lives, and began of the legend of Simo Häyhä. For 3 months, the two countries fought in the Winter War, and in an unexpected turn of events, Finland, the underdog, emerged victorious. The defeat was a stunning blow to the Soviet Union. Stalin, upon invading, had believed that Finland was an easy mark. His reasoning was sound. After all, the numbers were decidedly in his favor. The Soviet army marched into Finland with roughly 750,000 soldiers, while Finland's army was just 300,000 strong. The smaller Nordic nation had just a handful of tanks and a little over 100 aircraft. The Red Army, by contrast, had almost 6,000 tanks and over 3,000 aircraft. It seemed there was simply no way they would lose. But the Finnish had something that the Russians didn't: a diminutive farmer-turned-sniper named Simo Häyhä. Standing just 5 feet tall, the mild-mannered Häyhä was far from intimidating and actually quite easy to overlook, which is perhaps what made him so suited for sniping. As many citizens did, he completed his requisite year of military service when he was 20, and then he returned to his quiet life of farming, skiing, and hunting small game. He was noted in his small community for his ability to shoot, and he liked to enter competitions in his free time. But his real test was yet to come. When Stalin's troops invaded, as a former military man, Häyhä was called into action. Before reporting for duty, he pulled his old gun out of storage. It was an antique, Russian-made rifle, a bare-bones model with no telescopic lens. Along with his fellow Finnish military men, Häyhä was given heavy, all-white camouflage, a necessity in the snow that blanketed the landscape several feet deep. Wrapped from head to toe, the soldiers could blend into snowbanks without a problem. Armed with his trusty rifle and his white suit, Häyhä did what he did best. Preferring to work alone, he supplied himself with a day's worth of food and several clips of ammunition, then snuck quietly through the woods. Once he found a spot with good visibility, he would lie in wait for the Red Army to stumble across his path. One strange myth that surrounds snipers is that they would climb trees to shoot the enemy. Häyhä would laugh when asked about this. Not only would it make it far more difficult to keep a steady aim at the enemy, but if he was ever discovered, he would have no escape route. Instead, Häyhä used overhanging branches for cover, which provided better protection and allowed him to keep a steady aim. Häyhä knew that when a hunter shoots at his target, he must be able to observe the impact, as any game will try to escape if the first shot is not lethal, unless the game is injured beyond movement. Any animal will try to defend itself until dead or unable to move. This grim reality also applies to humans on the battlefield. Häyhä's hunting experiences taught him was how to read and use the terrain, and he was the ultimate master in exploiting the terrain of the battlefield to his advantage. Over the course of the Winter War, which lasted roughly 100 days, Häyhä killed between 500 and 542 Russian soldiers, all with his antiquated rifle. While his comrades were using state-of-the-art telescopic lenses to zoom in on their targets, Häyhä was fighting with an iron sight, which he felt gave him a more precise target. He also noted that several targets had been tipped off by the glint of light on the newer sniper lenses, and he was determined not to go down that way. He'd also developed an almost foolproof way of not being sighted. On top of his white camouflage, he would build up snowdrifts around his position to further obscure himself. The snowbanks also served as padding for his rifle and prevented the force of his gunshots from stirring up a puff of snow that an enemy could use to locate him. As he lay on the ground in wait, he would hold snow in his mouth to stop his steamy breaths from betraying his position. Häyhä's strategy kept him alive, but his missions were never easy. For one, conditions were brutal. The days were short, and when the sun set, temperatures rarely rose above freezing. Before long, Simo Häyhä had gained a reputation among the Russians as the White Death, the tiny sniper who lay in wait and could hardly be seen in the snow. He also gained a reputation among the Finnish people. The White Death was frequently the subject of Finnish propaganda, and in the people's minds, he became a legend, a guardian spirit who could move like a ghost through the snow. When the Finnish High Command heard about Häyhä's skill, they presented him with a gift, a brand new, custom-built sniper rifle. With Simo's unique character and a lifetime of preparation, he was a nightmare for the Soviet troops in the winter forests of Finland, until he was wounded on March 6, 1940, in the forests of Ylisma in the Kala region. He was hit by an explosive bullet during a Russian attack. He lapsed into a coma from which he would not awake until 1 week later, by which time the armistice had already been signed. Following his injury, Häyhä suffered from lasting facial scarring and near-constant pain for many years. After the war had ended, Häyhä returned to his farm. His war exploits were legendary in Finland, and he became something of a celebrity, but he preferred his own company. Kalevi Ikonen, a friend of Häyhä, said, "Simo spoke more with animals in the forest than with other people." Considering, however, that he underwent a total of 26 surgical operations on his jaw, and his speech was never fully restored, it is not difficult to understand why he may not have wanted to interact with others more than was necessary. Until he moved into the Kimi Institute for Disabled Veterans in 2001, he lived alone. He died in 2002, aged 96. Simo Häyhä was the most successful sniper who ever lived because he understood everything going on around him. He was a skilled trekker and hunter who knew exactly how to stay hidden. His gun was one he had used for years, and he knew exactly how it would react in its environment, and his personality was ideally suited to sniping, with his willingness to be alone and ability to avoid the emotions which many would attach to such a job. Considering his small stature, he was born to hunt, and sniping lent itself to him well. "War is not a pleasant experience," he said, "but who else would protect this land unless we are willing to do it ourselves?"